After the controversial video game that was the DMC Devil May Cry reboot, fans have been demanding a true sequel to Devil May Cry 4, and on March 8th, 2019, Devil May Cry 5 was finally released. It took them 11 years, but the wait was definitely worth it. Steam reviews alone are sitting at a 96% positive rating. But after 6 years, is it still worth the hype? Which version should you play? Why hasn't Capcom announced a sequel yet? As someone who has nearly 300 hours into the game between multiple versions, it's safe to say that this game has endless replay value. I will be using footage from the Xbox Series S version of a new game playthrough on Son of Sparta difficulty with Turbo Mode enabled. People who played this game before might think, hang on a second, I thought that you normally cannot play through Son of Sparta difficulty the first time around. And you would be correct, because I was actually playing another character on my first playthrough, but we'll get to him towards the end. Also, please forgive the inconsistent quality of the footage. I'm also using some footage of the PC version due to convenience. Sadly, I'm using a cheap capture card for the Xbox footage that removes the anti-aliasing, but these issues are not present in the game itself. Fair warning, this video contains massive spoilers for this game and previous games. So for any new fans that are watching this, just buy this game, no, buy this franchise, and experience for yourself, and try to understand the combat system as much as possible. For everyone else, grab your pizza, rev up your Red Queen, and summon your demon familiars as we revisit the story and gameplay of Devil May Cry 5 6 years later. The story is set 6 years after the events of Devil May Cry 4. In the center of Redgrave City, a mysterious tree has suddenly appeared from the ground and has grown to an immense size. The legendary demon hunter Dante has been hired by a mysterious client called V to take on a gig to defeat a powerful demon. While initially joking and claiming that the demon is just another day at work, V says to Dante that this demon is
your reason for fighting.
Upon hearing the demon's real name, Dante sets off with Lady and Trish to slay the demon. Unknown to them, Dante knows how powerful this demon can be, as the ladies are easily defeated while being no pushover themselves.
Don't be late for the party.
Meanwhile, Nero, the protagonist from Devil May Cry 4, has also decided to take a swing at the demon while missing his right demonic arm. This used to house the legendary sword Yamato, granting Nero the power to access his devil trigger. But when an unexpected cloaked visitor ripped off his arm, he could no longer use that power. Nevertheless, he decided to get his revenge and go to the Demon King Urizen to settle the score. But things take a turn for the worse, and both Dante and Nero's strength pale in comparison to that of the nefarious usurper. Dante tries to use his devil trigger to hold off Urizen, and telling V to get Nero out of the area, much to Nero's reluctance.
Go! You're just dead weight! Back up!
Dante manages to buy enough time for the two to escape, at the expense of getting his rebellion sword shattered. Nero and V now need to rethink their plan of attack. A month has passed, and the tree has grown even bigger, and more demons have invaded Redgrave City. Nero tags along with his partner in crime, Nicoletta Goldstein, or Nico for short. She is an expert weaponsmith and is the granddaughter of the woman who made Dante's pistols, Ebony and Ivory. She is without a doubt Nero's best ally on the road to revenge. She has outfitted him with a new mechanical arm, the Devil Breaker. Though actually, I think her real weapon is her van. That is to say that you need to vary up your attacks, try to avoid getting hit, and do some taunting in between to increase your combat rating. This alone adds endless replay value to try out new ways to defeat your foes. So, how does Nero feel to play? His moves have mostly been carried over from the previous game, but smoothed out the mechanics to make it easier for new players to get used to the combat system. Nero carries his trusted revving sword, the Red Queen, and powerful dual-barrel revolver, the Blue Rose, to quickly dispatch of any enemy dumb enough to stand in his way. The Red Queen's handle resembles that of a motorcycle's throttle, and you can use it to rev up your next attack and empower them considerably. You can either manually rev up the Red Queen by pulling the left trigger a bunch of times, or immediately pull the left trigger after any attack for the effect to apply right away. This takes some getting used to, but with time, this can become muscle memory. Nero also has the Devil Breaker as his new arm. This grants him new abilities to do things like shock, rocket punch, break shields, or even empower his sword and gun. In addition, the arm also contains a grappling hook to reel in enemies to Nero and vice versa. With the exception of the grappling hook, these Devil Breakers do not last long and, well, break if Nero is hit during the use, or he charges it up to deal a devastating blow to the enemy. As for his Blue Rose, it is used to dish out modest damage from afar by continuously loading it up with more bullets. I highly recommend binding the gun button to one of the shoulder buttons or triggers so you can swing your sword and charge your gun at the same time. Overall, Nero serves as a good introduction to the depth of Devil May Cry 5's combat system. He's easy to learn, but difficult to master. As Nero makes his way through the ruined city of Redgrave, he relies on payphones to contact Nico for upgrades. And the way she makes her entrances is just so extra. Yeah, I can definitely say that she is a fan favorite. Along the way, Nero fights Goliath, claiming that he must use Nero as a sacrifice. I feel like this guy is a callback to DMC3's Beowulf boss fight, or maybe it's just me due to the way he fights. The way he spits out fire from his stomach reminds me of Jinpachi Mishima from Tekken 5. As Nero defeats Goliath, V swoops in to steal the kill. He informs Nero of the true nature of the mysterious tree. It is known as the Qliphoth tree, a tree from the underworld that feasts on human blood. These are the first signs that V knows way more than he's let on, but Nero doesn't fully realize it. And just as Nero was about to question V some more...
I know, I'm late. Shut it! The roads were all clogged. Hey, you must be V, huh? Hey, you gonna get that? Ding, 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 right by your feet. Woo-wee! I'm gonna make something amazing out of this.
Did you just sniff that? Do you have any idea where that's been?
Up your butt?
Focus on the mission.
I think Capcom's writers were enjoying this a little too much. In the next mission, Nero and V split up again to exterminate some Qliphoth roots. Nero gets some new Devil Breaker arms, and we get introduced to an old enemy from DMC1, the Death Scissors. These fly around with their giant scissors and block certain attacks. What bothers me most is that they just love to fly through walls where you can't hit them. I just recommend trying to break their guard and shooting them in the weak spot. We reach the end of the mission to face Artemis, and Nero notices that this demon is different from the others. When Nero defeats her, it actually had Lady imprisoned in its body. Meanwhile, V is heading off on his own journey to exterminate some Qliphoth roots. So, how does our mysterious one play? Well, he doesn't fight his enemies in the traditional sense by slicing or shooting them. Instead, he sends in his demon familiars Griffin, Shadow, and Nightmare to do the fighting for him while he reads his poetry before getting in close and landing the finishing blow with his cane. The problem is that his familiars are fragile and will get stalemated if hit too many times. V then loses access to not only their attacks, but also their respective dodges. He must then wait for a while for the familiars to recover before they can attack again. Or if you have enough Devil Trigger gauge, you can summon Nightmare and revive them instantly. And speaking of Nightmare, he is completely... while he is summoned, and so is V if you climb on his back to control him directly. I feel like his fighting style is a bit clunky, because his familiars need to be fully out before they can attack, but can still be fun if you're into the laid-back approach of Devil May Cry 5's combat style. Oh, and I do not recommend playing V on Legendary Dark Knight mode the first time around. More on that later. As we progress with V, he encounters Needhawk, which spawned all those hatchlings we had been using to open passageways. For some reason, this boss reminds me of the Diababa boss fight in The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Needhawk is no match for V's demon familiars, but when the huge Gilgamesh demon shows up in the distance, he's forced to run and falls down into the sewers. He now needs to look for a way out and is led to a ship dock. Throughout the game, keep an eye out for secrets. They might just be hidden in plain sight. V makes it back to the surface and calls Nico for support. And honestly, this might be my favorite entrance of her. Up ahead, we run into Malphus and a mysterious knight on a Garyon horse, which can control time. This boss fight's okay. The boss keeps running away, and it takes a while for V's demon familiars to get in close. Upon Garyon's defeat, the mysterious knight runs away, and V sets out to find the Devil Sword Sparda, and hopes to have Nero wield it to take down the Demon King Urizen. Meanwhile, Nero takes a swing at Gilgamesh and easily disposes of it, with some help of V. After that, Lady finally wakes up. She is unharmed, but does not know where Dante is, only that Trish has also been captured like she was. With no time to waste, Nero and V explore the metro station, where we are introduced to pods that spawn new enemies until you destroy them. For some reason, metro stations are one of my favorite locations in games, maybe due to the series I have been watching recently. When I was playing through this years ago, I often wondered why V was suddenly triggered upon seeing the Angelos, but now it all makes sense.
I must destroy.
The two heroes defeat the group of Angelos, and V remembers his childhood as he sees his old house in the distance. It is here where the two split up, and Nero once again questions what V's motivations actually are. Nero enters the Qliphoth tree and hunts down Urizen. Here we are starting to see some of the game's biggest weaknesses. First off, platforming. None of the platforming mechanics feel as smooth as that of other franchises. I would even argue that the DMC Devil May Cry reboot did it better. Secondly, the same looking level design throughout the Qliphoth tree. This is not like the tower in DMC3 that had different set pieces every time. Nero reaches the throne room again, but notices Dante's body is not there. He overconfidently takes on the Demon King and only manages to scratch him before being... Just as he was about to die, he gets saved by a mysterious new demon. But we'll get back to that. Let's see what V has been up to. He has been searching for the Devil Sword Sparda and found it on a wall with demons worshipping it. Oh, and remember what I said about Nico's entrance in Mission 5 being my favorite? I lied. This is the one.
Alright, Missy, you're on!
Keep squawking, little chickie.
Yeah! See ya!
Impressive.
After dispatching of the demons, he tries to lift up the sword but is too weak to wield it. Suddenly Shadow found Dante down a cliff, who has been knocked out for a month. V then slowly approaches him as he tries to wake him by nearly stabbing him in the head. V explains everything that happened so far, and Dante takes the Devil Sword Sparta and heads off. But when V tries to talk some more, he is suddenly falling apart. So, Mission 10 takes place before the prologue chapter, but for narrative reasons, I decided to put it in the beginning instead. Let's skip straight to Mission 11 then. Here we are, halfway through the game, and we finally get to play as Dante. What's his gameplay like? Well, he is by far the most difficult character to play. He is a true jack of all trades, master of none type character. He has so many moves that all require specific use cases. I won't go in depth with his entire arsenal, so let's go through them really quick and explain as he obtains them throughout the story. As a replacement to his broken rebellion sword, Dante now uses the Devil Sword Sparta. This sword is basically just a longer rebellion. His second starting weapon is the Balrog, complete with shoryukens and capoeira, the catch being that you need to charge it up to get the most out of it. And for long range, he wields his pistols Ebony and Ivory and shotgun the Coyote A, though his firearms are more used for style rather than damage. Dante has 4 different styles. Trickster style enables him to dodge and teleport with ease. Gunslinger style gives him more attacks for his firearms. Swordmaster does the same for his melee weapons. And Royal Guard style allows Dante to absorb enemy attacks, store up the energy, and release it all in a devastating counterattack. This character is meant for players who want to get the most out of the combat system and know how to use all of his moves efficiently. After getting some much needed warm up, Dante encounters Voltaic Black Knight, Cavalier, and senses who it really is. This might actually be my second favorite boss fight, only short behind the final boss. Royal Guard style is really useful against this boss, and you can even parry Cavalier's attacks with your melee weapons if you have the timing. Then, it is revealed that Trish was trapped inside the knight, and Dante slashes her out of it, while pieces of the knight merge with the motorcycle he threw earlier and gives Dante a new weapon. When Dante leaves, V reveals his true identity to Trish, telling her that he is in fact Vergil's human half separated by the Yamato, while Urizen is the demon half which became the self-proclaimed Demon King. Realizing his grave mistake, V went to Dante to hire him in the hopes of stopping his demonic half, or so he claims. This next scene is definitely my favorite Dante entrance.
How's that for road rash?
Oh boy, this weapon is so much fun. It grinds enemies to paste, can be used to ram through hordes of enemies at great speeds, and break through enemy guards with ease. Though, this weapon is slow and leaves you vulnerable. It's in this mission where we are introduced to an insanely annoying enemy that is hard to catch and hits like a truck. This is the Fury. It loves to teleport all over the place and make life miserable for anyone trying to style on it. The best way to defeat it is to hit it the moment it tries to attack out of teleportation, using multi-hitting attacks that last a long time, and using a powerful single strike if he gets knocked down. We reach Dante's old house and wonders what happens if he stabs himself with the rebellion. Considering that the Yamato separates man from devil, the rebellion unifies man with devil. Absorbing both the rebellion and Sparta into his body, Dante obtains his new Sin Devil trigger form and flies to the throne room to rescue Nero and face the Demon King once again. As Griffin is carrying Nero away from the area, Dante has a new sword called the Devil Sword Dante, which summons swords that attack autonomously to slash, shoot, evade, or guard on his behalf. With his new Sin Devil Trigger form, you sacrifice normal Devil Trigger to power it up, allowing Dante to gain incredible power and deal so much damage to enemies, it almost seems unfair. It is balanced by the fact that this form does not regenerate health and cannot be exited manually, so it's pretty much an all or nothing transformation. That is until you gain the Quadruple S ability that allows you to briefly transform into Sin Devil Trigger and back when you get a Triple S combat rating. Urizen is no match for the new Dante, but endures long enough for the Qliphoth tree to be revealed in its entirety. He leaves to claim the fruit of the Qliphoth, which the old Demon King Mundus used to rule the underworld. Dante then regroups with the rest of the crew to plan an attack on the Demon King. Nico meets Dante for the first time, and she is so taken aback by his presence that she starts stuttering. Oh, I suppose now it's a good time to bring up that she is in fact the daughter of Agnus from DMC4. You know, this dude.
Yes!
Demise.
Don't you think that's a little harsh? Killing me because of the way I talk?
Dead.
Crater. Between us! No! 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 No!
Do your homework first.
Nico then gives Dante the Dr. Faust hat, and he makes time to be himself.
Whoa! Yeah!
I'll take that.
I'm pretty sure the developers were mostly inspired by Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal music video. And speaking of the Dr. Faust hat, this is the easiest way to farm a ton of red orbs in the game. You can set the hat on any enemy and start wailing on them to earn a ton of red orbs. But if an enemy wearing the hat hits you instead, you lose just as many, if not more orbs than before. And if you have too many orbs to spend, you can use the Red Hot Knight Gunslinger skill to pretty much one-shot any enemy with a level 2 charge, let alone a level 3 charge. The three warriors make their way to Urizen, but are separated after a while. This is where V really starts to fall apart and is sent to an alternate dimension without his demon familiars. Here he must earn them back by fighting old bosses one by one. And in my opinion, this is the weakest part of the game. As you have an incomplete moveset, V is even more fragile than ever. Fortunately, the bosses don't have as much HP as their normal counterparts. As soon as V manages to escape this alternate dimension, he runs into Malphus, but is way too fragile to challenge the demon. Just when Malphus was about to end him, Nero swoops in to save the day. The first time around, I found that this boss was pretty frustrating because she kept teleporting all over the place. It was hard to pin her down. But then I figured that I just needed to keep shooting from a distance and try to get a few hits in the moment she drops down from her teleporting. Also, I brought some Buster Arms for this fight, and these things are extremely powerful against bosses. You could potentially skip entire phases with this Devil Arm. Nero easily takes care of the demon and tells V to turn around, but V insists that he must reach the location of Urizen before it's too late. Nero reluctantly agrees to carry him there, knowing that Dante will reach the Demon King first. Just what could V be planning though? Meanwhile, Dante goes deeper down the Qliphoth tree and runs into King Cerberus, of whom his kin felled by his blade back in DMC3. Unlike the previous one, King Cerberus does not only attack with ice, but also lightning and fire-based attacks. While I really like this boss fight, I do not like it when he transforms between elements and he doesn't die at 0 HP. Just look at this. With King Cerberus out of the way, Dante obtains a familiar weapon, and I'll let the scene speak for itself.
Guess I'm the first one here. I like that.
V reveals the truth to Nero about Dante's brother Vergil, who is now ready to eat the fruit of the Qliphoth. In an illusion that shows their old house, Dante explains that on the day demons invaded their house, their mother tried to save them both, but ultimately met her untimely end. Vergil doesn't recall any of it, and eats the fruit that grants him unbelievable power.
I will have everything.
I will have everything.
While he already had a lot of power from the human sacrifices, his previous form severely limited his mobility. In my honest opinion, this is the hardest boss fight in the game. Because of how fast he is, whether you're using turbo mode or not, and also the deceptive timing for Royal Guard. I died about 11 times before I beat him to get an S rank. However, even with the fruit, Dante's strength proved superior and Vergil was brought to his knees. Just as Dante was about to deal the finishing blow, V insists to be the one to do it instead. However, things go horribly wrong as V uses his cane to reunite with his demonic half and Vergil is reborn. Much to Dante's disgust of seeing his resurrected brother before him, he blindly rushes in to challenge Vergil to a fight. But he is still injured from his earlier battle and Vergil overpowers him easily. He is not interested in defeating his brother in a weakened state and will await Dante upon recovery. Before Vergil withdraws to the top of the Qliphoth tree, he suddenly turns around and thanks Nero for his help. Dante must chase down and defeat his brother once and for all. Nero insists to tag along, but once again, Dante drops another bomb on Nero and tells him that Vergil is in fact his father. For the first time, Vergil is reflecting on the day his home was raided by demons, considering the potential scenario of him and Dante trading fates. But Vergil knows it's too late to turn back, as he sits on the throne to await Dante's arrival once more. Somehow this throne became a meme in the form of a plastic chair. And just so everyone knows, this was all a mod. I'm sorry for ruining your dreams. Anyhow, Dante meets up with the girls one more time. Nico hands over Lady's new rocket launcher, the Kalina Ann 2. And if you had managed to find the original Kalina Ann in Mission 11, you get to combine the two together to unleash a devastating laser beam and deal a ton of damage. Though all of the Kalina Ann's attacks have a lot of startup and leave you wide open to enemy attacks. On his way up to see Vergil, Dante is delayed by the demon familiars and insists on being the ones to kill Dante instead. To give you some lore, the demon familiars are the discarded thoughts of when Vergil was Nello Angelo. In the Devil May Cry Visions of V manga, they were separated just before V was from Vergil. I recommend giving it a read if you have the time, as they answer some questions that the game doesn't. such as how V had managed to get the money to pay Dante for his services. So we face the trio of Griffin, Shadow, and Nightmare. Emphasis on Nightmare. At this point in the game, you might have fully or come close to fully upgrading these familiars as V, and they all use the obtained moves and passive moves during the boss fight. This is only made harder on Son of Sparta difficulty. In this fight, you must wear down Shadow and Griffin and drain their health while they are still mated, all while avoiding Nightmare's devastating attacks. During the fight, Nightmare can drain his health to revive the other demon familiars, but also can regenerate himself if you allow him to. Despite their best efforts, the demon familiars fall before Dante.
Should've known better. You got a good heart, but you're about as sharp as a marble.
Perhaps. But if you had even a little bit of trouble defeating us, imagine what Vergil can do to you. Go see for yourself. Us. This is our final flight. And the end of Vergil's nightmares. Godspeed, Dante. You'll need it.
Rest in peace, little chicken. It's been a bash.
All that remains now is for Dante to face Vergil once and for all. Now this is truly a boss fight made for Dante. Vergil moves around with great speed and teleports all over the place to throw off your momentum. And considering the fact that I was playing on turbo mode, he is even faster. So you need to wait for him to get close and do a combo on him when he finishes an attack. Unlike in DMC3, he actually gets juggled into the air, giving you far more creative freedom to style on him. With his newly obtained power, he now also has Sin Devil Trigger, dramatically increasing his attack power, but unlike Dante, also getting to regenerate his health. And this man loves to fly around the stage and become a missile. Vergil has one major weakness during this fight. Everyone say it with me.
Royal Guard!
Yep. If you manage to perfect Royal Guard most of his attacks, you get to negate them, build DT gauge, and release the energy stored up into a devastating counterattack. Lastly, Vergil has a doppelganger that follows his every move and attacks right behind him, including his judgment cuts. So you may need to resort to using Dante's summon swords to damage both the doppelganger and Vergil. The brothers seem to be evenly matched. Then Dante tells Vergil that Nero is his son. Vergil thinks nothing of it, and the two prepare for a final clash, but
Here comes a new challenger!
feeling frustrated that Vergil is his father, Nero wants to settle the score and calls Kyrie for help. After a heart-to-heart, Nero knew that to break the cycle of deadly sibling rivalry, he needed to be the voice of reason. He goes up to the top of the tree and
I'm not letting you die!
Nero stops the fight between his uncle and father and does not allow them to kill each other, knocking out Dante and challenging his father to a duel. This is where we finally get to use Nero's Devil Trigger, and boy oh boy was the payoff a 10 out of 10. After the entire game without Nero's Devil Trigger, you suddenly feel as if you have grown with him. Just like the other characters, DT increases his damage and allows him to regenerate health. With his right arm now restored, he can use his old Buster Throw and deal a ton of damage to enemies.
Oh, hell no! Here, now's your feeling accepting yet? Of your existence or your strength. Oh!
fucking asshole!
Oh my god, dude! Oh.
Even the doppelganger now feels like a joke, because Nero's gun just melts it away. The same goes for Vergil's health regeneration. His bullets chew through it immediately. And if you manage to grab him with the doppelganger during double trigger,
Drop this!
impressed by Nero's strength, Vergil's defeated and goes with Dante to the underworld to sever the roots of the Qliphoth tree and seal the portal behind them. But not before Nero receives Vergil's poetry book as a reminder for their potential rematch. With his uncle and father seemingly trapped in the underworld, Nero is left to wipe out the rest of the demon filth in the human world. Even with his arm restored, he can still just phase it out of existence to continue using Nico's Devil Breakers. With the remaining demons slain, and the Qliphoth tree destroyed, peace has returned to the human world at last. A month passed, and the whole time, Dante has been fighting Vergil. Not to kill, but for brotherly bonding. It is kind of wholesome to see Vergil smile for the first time.
Don't you dare say it, Jackpot!
So, are they trapped in the underworld forever? Nope. We see them in Nico's van in the main menu. So, who actually knows how long they have been gone for? Now that the game is over, what is left to do? Well, this is where replaying the game on other difficulties comes in. Assuming you have the PS5 or Xbox Series version, you get to play Legendary Dark Knight mode. This difficulty has enemy stats between Devil Hunter and Son of Sparta, but with significantly increased enemies that appear on the screen. Basically turning it into Dynasty Warrior mode. If you recall, I said that it's not recommended to play this on your first playthrough, especially as V, because you do not have sufficient abilities that have a large enough area effect. Or if you believe that you are up to the ultimate challenge, you might attempt to beat the game on Dante Must Die mode. Enemies here are even stronger than on Son of Sparta difficulty, but the twist is they can now activate their own Devil Trigger, going even further beyond. This boosts their offense and defense so much that certain enemies can kill you in 2 hits, even with max health upgrades. There's also the Bloody Palace mode to test your DMC prowess. In this mode, you fight 101 waves of enemies and bosses with increasing levels of difficulty. However, there's still the overpowered judgment-cutting elephant in the room to talk about.
A storm is approaching.
You thought I would leave out someone as cool as Vergil.
But it was I, Dio!
Sorry, I had to go there. You can play as Vergil through the story and experience just how broken this guy actually is. Vergil isn't some wacky wahoo pizza man like Dante is. He fights in a cold and calculated manner and makes every strike count. This is reflected in his concentration gauge, or as I like to call it, the motivation gauge. Every time you lock onto an enemy and walk towards them, the gauge starts to fill up. You'll start to do more damage and the hitbox of your attacks become larger. You can spend all of your concentration gauge to perform the World of V attack to regain health and have V's demon familiars attack the enemy while you're... The amount of health restored and V's attack duration depend on how much concentration gauge you had. But missing attacks, running around, and getting hit will make you lose concentration gauge. You will need concentration and full Sin Devil Trigger gauge to use his ultimate moves, which I'll explain later. Vergil uses his Darkslayer fighting style, focusing on speed and precision to close in on the enemy and slash them to ribbons. He uses his Trick ability to instantly dodge up, sideways, and backwards to confuse his enemies. When used correctly, Vergil becomes practically... Okay, that was the last one, I promise. His main weapon is of course the Yamato, which slices at incredible speed and can be used to do 3 judgment cuts in a row if you have good timing. A new move they added was the Void Slash. This slows down the enemy and pulls them closer to Vergil the moment he sheaths the sword. All of Yamato's attacks can be cancelled into a judgment cut. What you need to do is to hold and release the attack button the exact moment he sheaths the sword, or the exact moment the sword glows. His ultimate move is the Judgment Cut End, which pretty much kills anything in its path. I like how he does that thing in anime where the damage isn't applied until he sheaths the blade. He's just moving so fast, it distorts time and space. Secondly, we have his old Beowulf gauntlets, which do an obscene amount of damage, charged or uncharged. Unlike Dante, Vergil's punches and kicks are built into his moveset and do not require switching between them. These are perfect for breaking shields and can potentially one-shot certain enemies. And his ultimate ability is called Hell on Earth, which is just a nuclear explosion. Lastly, we have his Mirage Edge, which replaces the Force Edge from previous games. This pretty much acts like Dante's Rebellion with extra moves, like the Air Stinger, a better drive and overdrive, and of course his ultimate ability where he uses both swords to essentially do an ultimate Psycho Crusher. Vergil is someone who does not use guns. Rather, he conjures up Mirage Blades that autonomously attack his foes from a distance. He can also use them to teleport close to the enemy. While certain attacks cause DT gauge to shoot out, it doesn't matter as many moves will fill it up quickly, especially when sheathing the Yamato. And speaking of the Devil Trigger, he can summon a doppelganger to attack with him. You can even change the delay between it and your attacks, though I mostly stuck to the clone attacking at the same time Vergil did. Finally, we have the Sin Devil Trigger. This is pretty much a get out of jail for free card. All of his moves become super powered and he starts to regenerate health. Some people don't know that using ultimate moves during Sin Devil Trigger drains the gauge less versus using the ultimate in human form. As if that wasn't enough, you can activate Doppelganger and Sin Devil Trigger at the same time, and you will mow down entire hordes of enemies in seconds. All of his tools make him super overpowered in the game, surpassing even his boss counterparts. His gameplay was meant for Legendary Dark Knight difficulty, as many of his moves have large AoE to kill many foes at once, not even including his ultimate attacks. In fact, here's how fast he can melt boss HP.
Rest in peace.
So, playing through the entire game as Vergil, who do you think awaits us at the end of the story? Red Vergil? Nope, it's our brother Dante. Capcom knew that fans would be very disappointed if Vergil had to fight another Vergil at the end. So, they made Dante a real final boss. And oh boy, he is a madman. Seeing all of the many attacks suddenly being used against you has left me surprised Pikachu faced the whole time. Even after fighting this boss for the 30th time, I am just fascinated by his many moves. Oh my god, you cannot afford to be hyper aggressive against Dante. Many of his moves have armor, And even when you do manage to combo him, you have to make sure that you don't use moves that make you appear behind him. So after beating Dante, I initially thought that he had to defeat Nero next, but to my surprise, it was a more difficult Dante boss fight. And I can't believe that I haven't even talked about the soundtrack yet.
All things end, Dante. Even us.
You'll try that out.
Bury the Light is on par. Nay, it surpasses Devil Trigger in every regard. Casey Edwards, we will forever be grateful to you for creating these beautiful pieces of musical art. And yes, I am even including the dual theme from Mission 19. I have all these songs in my playlist, by the way. But enough gushing over the OST. The second Dante boss fight is where he uses the rest of his weapons along with Sin Devil Trigger. Here, you pretty much need to have learned how to use the trick dodge effectively, as some of his attacks might be difficult to avoid with regular dodges. But the worst part of both Dante boss fights is the Royal Guard counter. This is the Royal Revenge auto counter and has infinite reach, meaning you must be able to perfectly dodge this attack. I've abused this move so much during the Vergil boss fight, and now that the AI is using it against me, really made me realize that what goes around comes around. When you beat him the second time, you unlock some cutscenes between the two brothers in the underworld, and I gotta say, I am not a fan of these pre-rendered cutscenes. It's like someone turned up the contrast too high.
Don't you dare say it.
Jackpot. Why you gotta leave me hanging? We used to love saying that.
I have no recollection.
Well, let me jog your memory. A little Vergil. Crying in the corner. Because mommy got mad.
I seem to recall you crying every time Father raised his voice.
How would they feel if they saw us now?
What does it matter? We're still here, aren't we?
Yeah, you're probably right.
And there we have it, Devil May Cry 5, featuring the special edition. This game really has stood the test of time, even though 6 years isn't that long. So the question remains, which version should you actually get? If you want the most complete experience, buy the Xbox Series or PS5 version of the game. Or if you want mod support, PC all the way. And what about a sequel announcement? I know we all want a Devil May Cry 6. It's been 6 years since the release. Wait, actually, there was also a 6-year time gap between DMC Devil May Cry and DMC5. Oh my god, I think I might have summoned the beast. Not counting the Devil May Cry Peak of Combat mobile game, nothing new has been confirmed by Capcom. Also, now that Devil May Cry series director Hideaki Itsuno has left Capcom, Devil May Cry's future remains uncertain. But there might be some hope. During the 2024 Power Morphicon panel, Vergil's voice actor Dan Southworth shared that he was asked by Capcom to do his young Vergil voice like he did back in 2004. This kind of hints at a Devil May Cry 3 remake, or maybe an origin story for Vergil set before the events of Devil May Cry 3. In fact, Dan had accidentally leaked DMC5 years before Capcom had even announced it. If history repeats itself, we could get lucky and get a remake before the PlayStation 6? I suppose we will need to wait another few years to find out. Now, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. Share this video with your friends to reignite their love for this game. And with that, take care.
Enough! Wanna have some fun?